Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shrim Reem Kleem Glom Gam Ganapate Varavarada Sarvajanam Eva Shamanaya Swaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Om Ganganapate Namaha. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Gunatito Aksharam Brahma Bhagavan Purushottamah Jano Janannidam Satyam Muchyate Bhava Bandhanat. Om Shri Swaminarayan Namaha. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayan Namaha. Om Shri Krishna Narayan Namaha. Om Shri Vasudev Narayan Namaha. Om Shri Rama Narayan Namaha. Om Shri Shiva Narayan Namaha. Om Shri Badri Narayan Namaha. Om Shri Satya Narayan Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Shri Hanumate Namaha. Om. Welcome to NITYA Satsang. Today is the 9th of January 2023. Before we begin, I want to offer my Anantagoti Namaskar and Danvat Pranam to all the incarnations of God, to all the great sages who have come in the past, present today, and yet to come, and to the Supreme Paramatma residing in the heart of each being. With that prarthana, we are continuing our exploration of Sri Vivek Chudamani with the blessings of Bhagwan Shankar and Adi Jagat Guru Shankaracharya Ji, that their blessings are definitely on us, otherwise we would not be even able to think about these things. Vivek Chudamani is the pinnacle of Vedanta. It is the essence of all Advait Vedanta. And Shankaracharya Ji's every word is Kalyankari, Param Kalyankari. Every word, every sentence, every shloka in Vivek Chudamani is filled with divinity and wisdom for the Kalyana, for the benefit and the liberation of every single human being. So that is the Mahima. Iska Mahima itna hai. With that understanding, we are trying to understand and examine basic ideas that we have talked about before, but to really probe into them clearly, because it's not the quantity that it matters, it's the quality of understanding that makes all the difference. So along those lines, we have been examining, starting yesterday, we have started to look at what is called Avastha Traya, the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, right? So Avastha means state. These are the basic ideas that really need to be held in the mind clearly so that we can get to realize the Atma and the Paramatma. The fact is that we are revolving in the 24-hour cycle, the circadian rhythm cycle, in waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, right? Now, Shankaracharya Ji is talking about recognizing the karya of Maya. Maya ka karya kya hai? So when we use the word Maya, the three states, Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti, they are Maya karya. That is what it is. You know, Maya is not something you can see physically, it's not something that can be known that way. Maya Maya has great power, but it is avran. It is blocking the realization of the Atma and is giving the experience of the world. So, to realize the Atma Tattva, we can examine our experiences in Jagrat, Sapna, Sushupti. Now, let's go carefully in this, sequentially. Jagrat Avastha, we are awake. Like right now, we are awake. Yes, it is an Avastha. It is an experience through the mind, through the brain, through the body, for the Atma. And in that Jagrat Avastha, the Jagrat Avastha is an opportunity to progress towards the Atma, so that the mind and its function begins to get more and more in sync, in synchronicity with the power of the Atma. Now, one might wonder, how is that done? This is where the different yogas and different upasanas upasna kaho, upasna, yog, Bhagwan sambandhi jnana, the connection with higher consciousness, all of that comes into the picture. We have two options in Jagrat Avastha. Upanishad is saying Shreyas and Preyas. We have only really just two options, and maybe some mixture of the two is also there, maybe option 3. Preyas is doing everything that is pleasing, that we just want to do, that is enjoyable, pleasing, etc. That is Preyas. And Shreyas is all activity in the Jagrat Avastha that aligns with the reality of the Atma. Because, and that division is always there. So, for example, when we're speaking words, when we're speaking to others, speaking with others, or speaking internally to ourselves, is that talk, that language that is spoken, is it in alignment with inner freedom, with the Atma? Or is it in alignment, or is it just within the experience of the 3 gunas of Maya? In the Jagrat Avastha, there are the experiences of the world and of the Rajogun, Tamogun, all those kinds of things are there. So at every given point while we're awake, to be aware, to be aware that my mind is going in this particular way, is it leading me towards freedom or towards bondage? Now, here's the tricky part. The experiences of the world do exist, but can we interact with them without binding with them? See this question carefully. Is it possible to interact with the people in the world, everybody, whoever we're interacting with, and the objects in the world? And also the places, so the objects, every object externally, and all the people, all the animals, all the external reality in general. Can we interact with it without getting bound within it? And at the same time, be able to appreciate it, to enjoy it, to really be free in it? This is the question of freedom. The answer to this question is yes, it is possible. Definitely. Definitely it is possible. How? How is it possible without binding, interacting without binding? See, when Shankaracharya ji is saying Maya Karya means that the effect of Mahamaya, which is the creation of the universes, we are within that creation of the body, etc. We are within the effect of Mahamaya. That is Maya Karya. So, to live within the realm of the effect of Maya, but to be unbound in that is Brahma Vidya. That is what Vivek Chudamani, the Gita are all about. Is living in the waking state without getting pulled, ensnared inside the world of the waking state, the world of the waking state that is available for us. That is the outside world with all the objects and people and places and circumstances and interactions, and so many things are there. Jagrat Avastha, that's what this is called. Jagrat Avastha, within Jagrat Avastha, to freely experience Jagrat Avastha without binding inside the Avastha. That is the science of living a liberated life. Now, again, always, the question is, how do we do this? How do we do this? We do this by recognizing where is bondage for me, but even before Sachin can recognize where is bondage for Sachin, what is bondage? Bandhan hai kya? What is bandhan? We use this word bandhan and mukti. 2 words are used, right? What is bandhan versus mukti? If I drink a cup of coffee, for example, that I have in my hand, let's say, is that bandhan? It could be, but it doesn't have to be. I'm interacting with my family members. Can that be bandhan? Can that be a bondage? It can be, but doesn't have to be. No. I'm interacting with my coworkers. I'm interacting with so many different people. Can it be a massive bondage? Yes. Can it also be a liberated activity? Yes. It can be both. It can be either. How? How can that be? It is a matter of realizing that the experience of interaction in the Jagrat Avastha is always restricted and limited. It's always restricted. How much food can we eat? Even if we like our food very much, we can eat a certain amount. We might be with our best friend. Sometimes we are spending time with our best friend, right? We want to spend a lot of time. But that time is also limited. Maybe it's 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. After 4 or 5 days, you say, okay, now continue doing other things. There is no experience in Jagrat Avastha that we can experience in a continuous way without getting damaged or harmed or bored or sick of it. That is a fact. Is it not so? If you go to a party, let's use the example. You go to a party lasts 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, maybe 4 hours. But if it goes more than 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, you say, oh my God, I'm tired. Abhi baat ho gayi. Too much. Turn it off, turn everything off. Too much. It's like that. Every experience in Jagrat Avastha, while we're awake, is experience that has its beauty in its limited nature. Is it not so? And that is the art of living this life in this world as we are in a way where we are taking limited experiences and enriching ourselves without binding in them. The problem with the human mind, the antakarana that we have been examining, is that we start running after something we like. And then we run after it to the point where that experience eventually becomes harmful for us. Or if it doesn't become harmful, immediately it will bind us. Right? Is it not so? Just look at this very carefully. So the art of living in the Jagrat Avastha is the art of taking limited experience with a great enjoyment, with happiness and seeing its nature, and without, now here's the clincher, how to remain free. Bhagwan Krishna has given that answer. Without raga or dvesha. Without attraction and repulsion to interact. Now wait a minute. Now that becomes a tricky part. If I'm drinking a cup of coffee, I say, I like the cup of coffee. I like to have a certain temperature, 2 packets of sugar, some cream, maybe hazelnut, a particular cup with a particular picture and all that kind of thing. Then I said, then I'm happy. Yes, for sure. That is conditional happiness. That is sukha. Is it true that Sachin can get sukh that way? Sukh. I'm not using the word ananda. I'm using the word sukh. Is it possible? Is it the Sachin wants with certain temperature, certain this, certain that, and if I drink that, and if I get it the way I want it, the me, the ego, that says ahankar, that says I want this, that's through the causal body. And if I get exactly what I want, 100% what I want, that is maximum sukh in that situation. But back up for one moment. Even if the coffee temperature, everything is exactly the way it should be, the way you want, the amount of sukh that we get, the quantity of sukh, quantity of this enjoyment. Sukh means enjoyment. The quantity of it is based on state of mind. If I am worried about something, if I am imbalanced in my body also, the temperature, everything, the coffee and everything is there, but I'm not going to experience the highest sukh available for me. It's not going to happen. It depends on state of mind. For example, let's use a financial example, easy to understand. If you have $50,000 in your bank account saved and you drink a cup of coffee, wow, that it's good. But let's say you have $500,000 in your bank account and you drink a cup of coffee, the sukha from the cup of coffee is much higher in your mind because internally you are enjoying the possession of $500,000. Wow. So it's the cup of coffee is the same. For somebody who is a beggar, a poor person, somebody who doesn't have anything, somebody who has $5,000, somebody who has $1 million, the external circumstances are different based on state of mind. State of mind is involved in how much sukh we get from a cup of coffee. Is it true or not? Look at your experience. The cup of coffee is the same. But if you have, let's say, for example, have won the Nobel Prize, another example, not a financial one, but an academic one. If you've got the Nobel Prize, and you've won the Nobel Prize, and you drink a cup of coffee, how does it taste? Do you see this point? Can we see what is the relationship with the Atma and all of these experiences? People in the sansar are wanting ananda. What are they getting? They're getting the duality of sukh and dukh. And even if you get sukh at the highest level, let's say you've got the Nobel Prize or you've gotten married or something tremendous has happened, you are on top of the world on cloud 9, and then you are experiencing your regular life. You're drinking a cup of coffee, you're going for walks, you are in that heightened sukha. You're experiencing, you're on top of the world. But that sukh, even that sukh that remains, it is going to remain for some time and it will diminish and come down to equilibrium. It will come back down again. You cannot remain there. It will become saturated. They said, okay, now it's all become normalized. What's new in this? It happens like with brand new cars. We buy a brand new car for the first, 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month. We are so cautious, don't make the car dirty. Don't do this, do that. Give it another 4, 5, 6 months. Chalta hai. Usme kya badi baat? It happens like that. Any level of sukh in the sansar, any level. You could have a private jet and you can have private jets and you could be the king of the world. Chakravarti Raja. In the ancient times they had these Chakravarti Raja mean king of the whole world. Even today there are very wealthy people, very powerful people. There are high powerful politicians. They can destroy the whole world if they want. There's so many people, powerful people. But whatever their sukh is, it is going to go. It cannot remain continuously. This is part of Gnan. Jisko Gyani kehte hai. This is a realization that that's the nature of the material world. And that material world experience is occurring in the Jagrat Avastha. Within Jagrat Avastha, all of this experience is going on. And each person has the direct experience of sukh, and usually there is dukh within it if one goes too far in it. You see, so now the question becomes, let's go one step further. How can we discover what is ananda? Actually discover it. We have experience of sukh and dukh, things that we don't get, things that are causing pain, suffering, all kinds of things. Sukh dukh is on a continuum. It's like a pendulum. It's a dvanda. It's a duality. It's a pair of opposite, as per the Gita. Isn't it so? That is the nature of sukh and dukh. Obviously. Let's say you have 5 contestants for the Nobel Prize. One person gets the prize. The other 4 people don't get it. They're not happy, but the one person is happy. Somebody wins a big match. The winner's happiness is based on somebody else's loss. Most of the sukha is based on some degradation somewhere else. Not always, but in many cases. So ananda is beyond sukh and dukh. ये बात, this is very mind में, how to bring this inside the mind? ये क्या है? What is this Ananda? We talk about it all the time. But what is it actually? And can we move into that realization? That in that realization of Ananda, first of all, to understand what is Ananda, Ananda is constant joy. I'm not going to use the word happiness. I will use the word joy. Ananda is continuous. It is steady. It steadily keeps increasing. And it does not degrade. Atma, the sukh of the Atma, or the Ananda, Ananda is one of the qualities of the Atma. And it is completely beyond sukh and dukh. But here's the difficult part. How do we live in this world that is filled with sukh and dukh and move into the dimension of the Atma, that is Ananda? Can we do it? Is it possible? Sure, absolutely. Why not? It is possible when the mind, the mana, buddhi, chit, ahankar, the four things we have been looking at, it is colored with, infused with divya satsanga. भगवान का संबंध, शास्त्रों का संबंध, सब महान गुरुओं का संग. It is infused with that sangha of divinity, of bhakti. It is moving, it is connected with that. And when the mind becomes infused with bhajan, kirtan, manan, chintan, mahima, or uska jo sukh, actually in the beginning stages, it will all be sukh only. You will get some sukh from that, happiness. But that will lead to, as it grows further, there is an energy opening. The energy that is in the sukh and dukh, it begins to get synchronized together, and that energy opens a doorway back into the Atma. And then you just get a glimpse of Ananda, because it is called partial darshan of the Atma. And when the glimpse opens up, this is Ananda. It is like where mind's the dvanda, the duality of the mind stops. Even for a fraction of a second, if it happens, that is never forgotten. It is a very big thing. It is very, very big for a fraction of a second for the mind to stop the sukh dukh dvanda. And that anubhav is through satsanga, through great saints, through the scriptural contemplation. We do all the sadhana, but at some point this opens. And when it opens, the pure jnana is present. It's all present at one time. The ananda comes naturally, because that is who you are. It is not getting ananda from something outside. It is the diving into the fountain of joy that is already within you. That is already you. But that is what is called as a great sage. हम जो बोलते हैं बड़े संत, महान संत. Sant is not by clothes and all those things. It is by this thing, this realization. Once that opening happens, wow. Okay, but again, that opening occurs when we hold awareness. That is the inside guru. The outside gurus, they come inside and we hold the awareness of what is sukh and dukh, and we are able to hold that awareness of recognizing how not to entangle the mind inside the sansar. That is the art of living in the sansar without damaging the sansar and without getting stuck in the sansar. And without the sansar, without the external situation, circumstances contaminating the internal structure. That is the science of living a life of a sadhaka, of a mumukshu. And then from that life, there is further evolution. But there's realization, mind is going in this direction. It is going in a binding direction. Sachin recognizes the mind is binding me here. And it's not new. It's not anything new. If we've gone through it before, but we go through the same cycles again. Trying to discover Ananda, but one is bound. Going through cyclical patterns doesn't open up Ananda. It's just re-experiencing Sukh Dukh duality. But if we are wanting Ananda, if we're wanting to move into that, be on guard as to where is my binding, where is the mind, the antakarana getting bound somewhere. And we can experience that. You don't even need any scriptures or anything for that. You know that already. You feel the uneasiness inside, feel some disturbances inside, all of that. Then, as we mentioned last time, the Swapna Avastha, the dream state, is a direct indication of your spiritual development and of the confusions inside and what needs to be done. It is working on the inside. Bhajan, Kirtan, Manan, Chintan, all of these adhyatmic samagri, it is an internal journey. It is an internal development. It's all inside. It comes inside. When a sadhak begins to work on the inner space and to stabilize the antakarana using mantras, using bhajan, kirtan, mahima, scriptural ideas, and begins to have the prajna, the mental power. Prajna is very steady. It becomes sthir, sthita prajna. The prajna meaning the buddhi, it becomes very steady. That is the evolution. And then one lives in the world beautifully with everybody. And living in such a world, interacting with people in the world, one can see clearly for oneself and for others also what is bondage. It is not simply what is written in the scriptures or what is written by somebody or in the words. It is your own first person direct realization that this is bondage. And this is not bondage. This is an internal manana chintana and Bhagwan ki upasana, Bhagwan ki krupa se, by connecting with Paramatma, by connecting with the great sages, that wisdom comes, buddhi yoga, Gnyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. It dawns within, this is bondage, this is not bondage. This is a path of freedom, this is a path of yes, there is all kinds of disturbance. So one sees that. One sees what is vasana, and one sees what is that state without vasana. One recognizes that the experience of drinking a cup of coffee or putting a gulab jamun in your mouth or putting a sweet in your mouth or eating some food, that experience has a certain limitation. That's all. It's there. Without raga, dvesha, it should be clean, it should be good food and all that. It is for the purpose of the body. That's all. Because the ananda is who you are. So the experience of the senses, it continues with the vishayas, with the sense objects. But the binding goes away because the mind is absorbed inside the joy of spiritual sadhana and contemplation. It is absorbed in that. Then everything else becomes, it becomes ordinary. It's okay, it's there. Food is there, everything is there. But the ananda is coming from the contemplation, from sadhana, from bhajan kirtan, from navda bhakti, from bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. It is coming from spiritual related activity, because the jivatma has realized as a mumukshu that running in the sansar with raga and dvesha is to completely become blind in the sansar and to create lifetime after lifetime after lifetime bondages. There's no need to run in the sansar blindly. Move in the sansar with open eyes. That's the difference. Running in the sansar blindly and just running after these experiences, trying to expand them, what does it do? It causes a lot of bondage, a lot of energy damage, lots of trouble. Interact rather in the sansar freely, with a limitation. Always we have to keep in mind, it is a limited amount. The quantity has to be limited, and from that limited quantity, we gain the maximum experience, and that maximum experience is also there, that is also limited. But that maximum experience gives us satisfaction of living in the world, and in that satisfaction, we can then do more spiritual practice. Otherwise, one is constantly in a state, or many people are in a state of internal poverty. So that internal poverty we don't want. Every human being has a right and has the ability, if the tuning is correct, to open up the inner wealth. If we know how to do that. And that knowledge comes, that wisdom comes by first, number one, I say it again, limited amount of experience in the material world. Not trying to run after that and to keep expanding that to find the Atma. If I like a cup of coffee, I cannot discover the Atma by drinking 100 cups of coffee. By the time I get to cup number 7 or 8, I will wind up throwing up. There's no way to discover the Atma by expanding sense experience. That will cause sickness. It will damage the body. It will cause much more damage inside the brain and cause confusion in the Swapna Avastha. Because when we like something, people tend to go for that. And then they go from one thing to another like this, trying to keep expanding that. Rather than expanding it, find out how much we need from there. Enjoy it, certainly. There's an enjoyment. But there is a non-binding enjoyment. See, for example, when Bhagwan Ram he's coronated as the king, comes back from Ayodhya, comes back from the Vanvas, and he's a king. Is there an enjoyment in that? Yes. Is he bound by it? No. It is a non-binding activity. Yes, that is like that. So one could be a very successful person in the material world, but like Janak Raja, as per Vartal number 20, Vachanamrut, one is not bound. He's doing everything as a king would do, but not bound. He's a grahastha, very enlightened being, and he was the guru of Shukdev Ji. Shukdev Ji is a great sannyasi who is the one who has written the Srimad Bhagavatam, who has spoken the Bhagavatam. 18,000 verses. But who is the guru of this great Paramans Goswami Shukdev Ji? That is, Janak Raja is the guru of Shukdev Ji. And he's a grahastha. And he has wives and he has all this kingdom and everything. But because of Janak Raja's guru, I think that is Ashtavakra Rishi, if I'm not mistaken. Because of grace of Ashtavakra Rishi, Janak Raja had mastered Sankhya and Yoga, which we will talk about later. But he had mastered this Gnan of living in this sansar without any kind of bondage, doing all the activity, and at the same time never losing the sight of the enlightened state, that is the Atma. Enlightened Tattva, that is the Atma Tattva. There's a whole Gita called Ashtavakra Gita. It's a Vedantic scripture. And Janak Raja was the guru of Shukdev Ji. That is the amazing thing. That is the science, the art, the wisdom of living in the sansar without binding, but experiencing the sansar at the same time. Without raga and dvesha and interacting with the sansar. interacting with the whole reality around. That is what is needed today. Then what will happen? The interaction, it is a blessing for everybody. Because the person is not trying to grab something from someone, this tug of war going on, to grab power from each other, to grab things from each other. That stops. Because the need inside, there's a realization, I don't need so much material experience to get to that culmination point. As long as the mind is steady and clear and developed with spirituality, limited amount of material experience is enough. Automatically we wind up eating the right amount of food. Automatically we wind up speaking the right kind of language. Automatically we wind up having enough interaction with others without entanglement. Automatically it happens. The jnana functions in the mind. That is really what Vivek Chudamani is about. Jnana is functioning from inside out. Not that I am functioning with my ego and all my craziness. No. The jnana is functioning, the vairagya is functioning, the bhakti is functioning, the divinity is functioning and expressing itself. And in that expression, there is joy. Now we can see the ananda is expressing itself in the relative world, in the Jagrat Avastha. Then that which was sukh and dukh, the dvanda of sukh and dukh, that disappears. And there is the anubhuti of ananda. Ananda is present in all of the experiences of the senses. In all of the interactions of the material world, ananda is present. Ananda is functioning. The enlightenment is functioning there. One is not caught inside sukh dukh anymore, even though the interaction is the same as before. Tremendous things are there. We'll continue on this further tomorrow. I want to make sure we end on time. So let's do the Mantra Pushpanjali Prarthana and then we'll stop here.